talking back on and off and all that.
For sure.
Unique New York. The aardvark had oddly shaped feet. Can you give me a little mic check?
This is Samer. Hello. How's that sound?
That works. Dude, it's so friggin' hot out.
Yeah.
I wore a black shirt and jeans, and that was not a...
Yeah, I almost left in jeans, and I was like...
smart choice.
I'm going to show up to this podcast in shorts.
Yeah.
This is the Said No One Ever podcast, a podcast about things you never knew you wanted to hear about. I'm your host, Martin Moore. Let's get into it.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Said No One Ever podcast, episode 29. This is one I'm super excited about. It's called The American Dream, and I'm super jacked for the guest on this episode because it's a guy I've wanted to get on the show for a long time. He's someone that's doing big stuff in the city. He's a photographer, award-winning director, producer, videographer, first-generation Palestinian American. Samer, what up?
Hey, thank you for having me.
How are you doing, dude?
Amazing.
Why don't you give the listeners a little bit about like who you are, what you do, where you come from, a little background on your story.
Yeah, I'm a Milwaukeean, born and raised. I went to MPS schools. I grew up in a first-generation single-mother household here in Milwaukee, a Palestinian household, and halfway through my time at MPS in middle school, I went to this school called Bell, which is now Wedgwood Academy. It's like a sister middle school to Hamilton. And all my cousins went to Hamilton. But there's this orchestra teacher that I had that kind of changed the trajectory of my life forever. Because in my household, like what was supposed to happen was you go to school, become like lawyer, doctor, something that connects to wealth or like some sort of American dream, if you will.
Lawyer, doctor,
you do
start SpaceX or Tesla.
Right. You do that. And I met this man named Byron Lampkins. He was the orchestra teacher. And my mom recognized pretty quickly when I joined orchestra that I had something like artistic in me like that. Sure. There was some drive that I really connected to. We went on to win awards in New York and in Toronto. We were like a real orchestra especially for our age. Years later, I found out this man is Classic's uncle.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Swear to God. Me and Classic were on vacation together, and I was just like telling him this story.
And was he like, boy, that sounds an awful lot like my uncle?
Yes. He was like,
shout out Classic.
Yeah, shout out Classic. So it was so weird that like part of his life like connected to my life so early on. But
that's dope.
Yeah, ever since then, I picked up guitar in high school and started playing in terrible punk rock bands that I still do.
I was in a band too.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, man. Definitely one of my first loves. But that after going to school, like university, and having real jobs, worked at Apple for a little while, which is where I met Shlee Berry. Shout out to Shlee Berry. I worked early on in my career. I spent a lot of time with her. A lot of my learning and growth was with her and the guys in Paper Holland. And it was in that moment in like 2016, 2017, I was like, why is no one like taking photos of these bands?
Yeah.
Like at Company and Cactus in Bremen, like no one's shooting these shows.
Places I used to play.
Yeah. Right. So I started documenting bands and stuff, and then it just...
Is that how you got into photography?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how I cut my teeth. So I first got into it in 2011, my senior year of high school. Okay. And it was at Ronald Wilson Reagan International Baccalaureate High School. It's an MPS high school. Yeah. It was about getting kids prepped for college preparatory high school. So you can take a couple different routes. You can go like mathematics and physics. You can go writing, music, or art. Art was very general. But I spent my entire time in high school trying to find what was like my medium. So it wasn't sculpting, wasn't drawing, wasn't painting, wasn't watercolors. It was nothing. My senior
puppeteering.
Yeah, right. Like kind of faking my way through these crafts. And I rented a camera from the school my senior year, and I just was like, well, at least I can see what I want. Yeah. I might not be able to translate it from brain to hand, but I can see it. So it just kind of took off from there. And then when I was in university, I went for photojournalism. So it was like half English, half art history and photography classes, which was cool. I think I wanted to be an English teacher at that time in my life. Started working at Apple, like I said, and then which afforded me a little more money to kind of be more free in my mid-20s. And then when
upgrade some gear.
Yeah, tell me about it, dude. It went from a Canon T6i
Yeah.
to a Mark III, you know?
That thing, like, when you first started out in photography, that thing was like a beast.
Yeah,
like,
it kind of was.
It was very affordable, and it took really, really good pictures for the day.
It wasn't bad, man.
It's not an iPhone now, but,
right.
But it wasn't that bad of a camera.
No, it felt good, right? And it felt like I was on my way to something, which was cool. It was like a brush with a wooden handle and not a plastic one.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it felt like. So that was cool. But yeah, after I started documenting artists, you know, I started doing second shooting weddings and just like cutting my teeth for years. I think most people don't know that I spent 2017 to 2019 shooting shows for free, second shooting weddings for dirt cheap, just so I can be exposed and learn and understand how to adapt quickly, how to edit quickly, how to be responsible about file management and communication, and like, so I spent so much time, my free time. And now I don't
learning, developing, building your skill sets.
Yeah, man.
Boy, our stories are awfully similar. We'll get into a little bit more of that. Let's kick the podcast off though, because you know, I want to talk about the American dream, and I did an episode called Dream Jobs once, and that was sort of like an episode like post getting like your dream job and sort of the conversation after like making it in air quotes. And what I really wanted this episode to be was focus more on the nuances of what it takes to chase the American dream in air quotes. You know, what does it take to do what you want? Is that accessible to everyone, or is it only accessible to certain people? And just some of the trials and tribulations that you've been through when it comes to getting to where you are, because you shoot and make content for Visit Milwaukee and a lot of other really cool stuff like that. And so let's just start off, you know, how would you personally define the American dream, or what does that look like for you?
I think the American dream is like, if I were to boil it down to a word, it's choice. Like the freedom of choice. Like I have the freedom to quit my job at Apple and try this crazy thing. I have the freedom to stay at Apple and, you know, collect a paycheck and like feel secure, which I do miss. I will say directly into the mic, I definitely miss.
Right.
And so I think the American dream was a lot different for me growing up. I think it was very influenced by my mom.
Yeah.
God bless her heart. I don't blame her, you know, to get a cool job and get married and have a nice house probably out in Franklin or something like that, you know, like away from the city, because, you know, she grew up on a farm, so she's not stoked about the city all the time. But so I understand.
Where did your mom grow up?
In Palestine, in Jerusalem, on a farm with her dad. She would do the thing where her and her siblings would walk like 2 miles, you know, to school every day and back. And then
so when she tells you, "Oh, I had to walk 2 miles to school,"
she
not
fucking
bullshitting.
meant it. Yeah, she did that shit. So it was cool. I was recently listening to that new Kendrick Lamar album. And I know there's a lot of controversy about Kodak Black, but he has this quote where he's like, you got to give respect to the old heads. Like, you didn't come from nothing.
Exactly.
You didn't come from nowhere. And as I get older and older, and as I do this stuff in our city, I always thank my mom or shout out my mom and talk about my mom, because we haven't always agreed. We haven't always had like a great relationship, but she did like the unthinkable to millennials. I'll say that again.
Oh, yeah.
She did the unthinkable to millennials. Half of us can't even, you know?
Right.
So to come to a country, barely know the language.
Right.
Work at a cookie factory, start a business in the Miller Valley, or start a business on what is now River West, Midget Foods. Not really stoked about the name, but she built that.
Yeah.
She made that, and it's still there
today. And that's
you know?
huge. And I mean, that really, her story really embodies the American dream, because if you just brush aside like her son, and just like everything she accomplished, that right there, I mean, that's the American dream. And now couple on top of that, raising a smart, intelligent, successful young man, that's doing the things that you're doing. I mean, that's just the cherry on the top. And so it's awesome to hear those stories. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here, because you bring such a unique perspective. I guess my second question then is to you is, what unique perspective has your story, being first generation Palestinian American, how has that shaped your hustle and your drive and the way you look at the where you want to ultimately be? Boy, that was a long question.
No, I have it. I got you. I'm with you here. You know when you're playing like a video game or something and like you're running across a bridge, the bridge is like crumbling behind you. That's how I feel like my life is right now, man. You know, as a Palestinian American, I have to watch my history be slowly erased from, overseas, and it feels like I have to run as fast as possible here to make a difference in Milwaukee and then in the Midwest and in the nation, and then hopefully that change will trickle over. And that's all I can do. I'm not fucking made of money, you know.
Right.
I can't. I'm not a politician either, so I can't change.
You're not
people.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, right. Fuck. So I'm trying to do what I can with my own tools, and it's hard. Definitely, as a fellow artist, I'm sure you understand the feeling of like burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking before.
Yeah.
Before we started this, so it's the hustle is like, if I have to try to make a difference. There's not a lot of Palestinian artists in Milwaukee or in the Midwest. There's not a lot of.
I don't know that I know any other than you.
I don't know many either, you know. So there's not a lot of people.
Is there like a Facebook group or?
Right? I got to start one, man. But there's not a lot of people that look like me and have this experience of that are talking outside of the legal world or the medical world or like their micro industry, not that they're micro, but those micro like communities of conversation. And if I can break into this social political sphere where I'm connecting art, culture, e-commerce, and the fiscal livelihood of Milwaukee, that's where I want to exist. That's where I want to like really make some change. And it's hard. I just feel like if I don't run at 200-300% every fucking day, I'll never get this done. And I think that's my long-winded answer to
And you bring up a great point about going 200-300 miles an hour or percent or whatever. I've always said there's two kinds of people. There's people that want it and there's people that get it. And there's so many people on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and whatever your MySpace, doesn't matter, that they sit there and they talk about all the things that they want, in air quotes, to do. And then there's people out there that just shut the fuck up and they do it, not because they feel like they have to or they have no choice, because it's what they want to do. It's what they love to do, and it's not hard to go that fast and to work that hard. It completes you. You want more. You wish there were more hours in the day.
It's like a drug.
I mean, time is just the enemy of success, and it's like. I mean, I'm sure you've slept or woken up super early and went to bed super late to edit and to
talk about sacrifices.
Yeah, right.
And that's definitely. I have a little bit more to say on that later. But
so I guess how much, in your opinion, how much of success, whether it's your personal success or just anyone in general, chasing the American dream, how much success is luck, and how much of it do you think is pure manifestation?
That's a great question. I think. A lot of what I have been able to do in the last year, from like January till now, has been a little bit of luck. Like, I absolutely won't deny that. I'm super grateful for a lot of the opportunities I've recently been a part of, like the small cog that I am in big projects. Like, insanely grateful, very humbled by them as well. Very stoked that the majority of them are connected to Milwaukee and like the greater Milwaukee area. But I think a lot of it is luck. I think you gain luck though from your hustle, from your presence, from your connection. Like people go out of their way to hire me, which I think is interesting. And that's not a flex, but I'm
flex. Flex.
I'm just kind. I'm kind enough, and I show up and I respond, and I have these connective conversations with people. And even when I was doing stuff with Giannis, it was like him and I connected. I wasn't just documenting the man for the commercial that we were working on. And I think that's what changes. There's so many camera people. Again, I know you know this, so I know I'm preaching to the choir. But there's so many camera people that show up and leave early, or show up and just go right home, or they don't shake hands, they don't like talk to their subject. And I think I'm grateful to have had some journalism education in my life and some sociology education in my life to know that to be a journalist, you have to connect and you have to inspire and you have to like let people give you their story. And I think that's where the luck comes in my life. Like I do all of those things as best I can, and I try to not be an asshole. And,
that's a big one.
Yeah,
that's usually
sure.
my number one bullet point on how to be a good human being. Just don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. It's kind of easy.
Right. Not for some people.
Yeah, I know all my friends are listening to this. Like, fuck him.
Yeah, right. He's a dick. He ghosted me.
Fuck.
You know, I've always said luck is just opportunity in disguise. And you're the kind of person that you create opportunities for yourself. And so I think what might seem like luck is just you've put yourself in positions to... The analogy I always use, like when I was first starting off, like when I was working on cars, and my dream was to be a photographer and make videos for a living. And like I always looked at my life, this is a bad analogy, as like the Titanic sinking. And I looked at like working, doing photography and video as the shore. And to get from the sinking ship to the shore, there's all these little lifeboats, and all these little lifeboats were opportunities. And every one that I got in was one step closer to the shore. And every one I didn't get in, there was someone, treading for their life in the water that gladly would have taken my place. And so it's not that those lifeboats were lucky that they were there. There was those opportunities, and I took them. And you sound like you do the exact same thing. And so it's not surprising that you've had this sort of opportunities and, in air quotes, luck that that you've had. And I think opportunity is just absolutely everything for people that are chasing their dreams and their
I totally agree, and I remind the people that have given me some of my biggest opportunities. I try to continue to remind them all the time. I wish you could give me just a 30-minute segment to just list names, and I would list all the names of the people that have helped me along the way, big and small, and like here and far. But I absolutely agree. When I was working at Apple and I was trying to figure out like so what's happening now? You know what I mean? Like I thought this was my life, like this mall. So
I've peaked.
Yeah,
I'm at the apotheosis.
It was cool. I was cool with it. But it's a great analogy. And when I actually went full time, which was the beginning of 2019, I realized, man, like this is a lot harder. Like those lifeboats became like some real shit to me, like that was like real opportunity and real like change.
And like you said before, some of them you did a lot of free work.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I can totally relate to that. There was so many times where I did work for free because I felt like there was an opportunity in there for me to maybe, work with another brand or something like that, or another organization. I mean, I made 10 videos for On Milwaukee for free, hoping that they would be able to like create a position for me. They ultimately weren't able to, but it's just like when you create those opportunities for yourself, things eventually lifeboats eventually going to come your way.
People pay attention. Yeah, totally. And I think,
and if you don't take it, someone like me will. There's someone out there that'll gladly fucking take your place. So it's like you have to take every opportunity.
Every opportunity that you can, even if it's outside of, you better learn how to Google how to do something. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah, right. If I don't know how to do it, I can assure you I'm going to be on a YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm going to learn. I think to give any advice to anyone that's listening or like aspiring to do, and there's no version of you that has to work for free.
Yeah.
Like no one's telling you have to work for free. Or
exactly.
But you better be willing to prove yourself.
Yes.
Over and over and over again. If you're not going to work for free, you better prove your worth.
You better be worth it.
Your quality, your time, your effort, like all of it. You better prove yourself. And I think that's like the thing that gets me so frustrated about people is people talk about chasing money and making money. Just in Milwaukee, I'm talking.
They want it now.
They want it now, and they don't want to see their own growth. Like they're not willing to be just a little more patient and try things just outside of the box. And it's difficult. Like no one's asking you to work for free.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to prove yourself. You have to be willing to show up every fucking day.
Exactly.
Every day. I work on my taxes every day. Every day I make sure that my shit is straight. Every day. It sucks.
I'm so glad I closed my photography business. When I got my job at Cause, I fucking hated doing
every day
sales taxes and
I have like 5 savings accounts for that
fake meetings that you have to hold for yourself for your LLC and all the. Oh my God, I'm so glad I closed all that shit. Sorry, I hope I didn't ruin your day. So you talk about motivation and you talk about a genuine love for what you do. But I think time is one of the biggest things that distracts people or inhibits people from chasing their dreams. I guess what would you say to people that just don't have the time, whether they have a family or they're a breadwinner or they're in school or something? Like where does someone find the time to chase their dreams if they have to work or raise a family?
Yeah,
do you have any advice for that?
I think so.
That's a tough question.
No,
someone asked me that once. I remember a long time ago on a podcast, and I was just like, huh. Unless I have a fucking DeLorean.
Or just one more hour in the day, right? But I think that you hear a lot of success stories can be like similar, parallel, cliche in a way, which is cool and funny at the same time. But a similar thing I noticed when I used to like watch YouTube videos and interviews of like Tyler, the Creator, Frank Ocean,
love him,
Blink-182 dudes like Tom and shit, and everyone, all artists in every genre across all levels of success have talked about the sacrifices they've had to make, and no one was specific. No one's ever specific, and there's a reason why.
Because they're ugly sacrifices.
They're horrible. They're terrible sacrifices that are only unique to you.
Yes.
And it's really hard for me to describe to anyone the amount of sacrifice that I had to make, whether it's missing an event or missing a funeral or missing something because guess what? You can't call in on a fucking wedding.
Right.
You just can't.
Yep.
Like that day, the day I book it is that I'm locked in for 2 years. Like I know what I'm doing on June 23rd, 2023, no matter what's happening.
From 10 a.m. to 10
whenever,
p.m.
Yeah. And I still forget to eat, which is funny as hell. But on wedding day, I never eat. But
I don't either.
The amount of sacrifice you have to make, whether it's
massive.
Missing things, lack of sleep, not eating as much, not seeing your loved
Eating
ones
the
enough.
shitty food.
Yeah, just figuring it out. Like you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between
people
wanting
that want
something
it and getting it.
Dude.
I remember when I did the vlog. I don't know if you know anything about my vlog. I don't really do it much anymore. I started my YouTube vlog in 2015.
When I started following you like 2.5 years ago, I think I started watching it.
Okay. My vlog was the catalyst for all of my success. That's how Cost found me. That's how On Milwaukee found me. That's how every company and person I've ever worked with found me. But the problem was, you're talking about everyone hides their sacrifices. I was making videos every day. So when me and my wife, Jen, were on vacation, she would like take a nap. Well, first of all, I'd be recording the whole fucking vacation because I had to make a video that day. She'd take a nap and I would edit videos, or like we wouldn't go out to dinner because I had to stay in the hotel room and edit videos, or like she would go to bed without me and I'd be editing till 2 a.m. and then she'd wake up at 6 a.m. and I still wouldn't be in the bed because I was already, on my phone or iPad uploading to YouTube and pimping it. And it's like, there's sacrifices, that everybody has, like you said, that are just so unique. And it's like, it's the only way people get that shit done. Beyonce didn't become Beyonce because she just fucking half-assed it. Right. Elon Musk didn't create rockets that land by themselves and self-driving cars because he just half-assed it. You're totally right. There's just unique sacrifices that people that succeed and get it make, and it fucking sucks. I almost got divorced because of my fucking YouTube channel.
I can similarly relate to that sentiment, and I think it's just, if you want something, you have to understand that you have to let something else go.
Yeah.
You are just one person. Your weight load can only take so much. So, be careful.
It's tough. It's really tough. You can hurt people. You can hurt yourself.
Yeah, but as you get crazier, it gets easier.
It does. The thing is, too, is it's not like it's even mentally hard or emotionally. I mean, it can be emotionally draining because it's what you want to do. There's people that going and playing slot machines and they keep pulling that lever because they want the jackpot. And then there's people like us that we just enjoy pulling the lever and just sitting on the chair and doing it. I never really, I always had this goal of being a photographer and doing, content and video, but I was enjoying the ride. And if I never actually found my success, my little side hustle was still I enjoyed what I was doing, and the little bit of success I had. And so you have to enjoy the doing part. If you hate that, if you hate doing your taxes, and editing
Right.
photos and managing, going in meetings and coming on fucking podcasts like this. If you don't like doing that sort of stuff, I mean, boy, you're gonna burn out real quick.
For sure. I mean, for my unique story, it was either this or I was working at Mayfair, so it was this fucking beats working at the mall, man.
I'm so glad I never worked at a mall. I worked at a grocery store when I was like 16, and then when I was 17, I started at Jiffy Lube, and then I started at Honda in 2009.
Holy shit!
And then I was a master Honda tech for 20 years till 2017, and then now I do this shit.
Damn, 20 years, man.
It was nuts. I remember the day I got my job at Koss, I like bawled my eyes out because it was like it finally happened. Like all the work, the hours of the vlog, almost getting divorced, the meetings, the fucking weddings, and just all the
weddings, dude.
All the shit. And I was like, I'm gonna be a photographer for like a living. Like, what has been, two-part question, what has been the most challenging part about your hustle, and what has been the most rewarding part?
Oh yeah. Okay. The most.
I'm gonna sit back.
Yeah, sure. Can I do the rewarding part first? Yeah,
sure.
I don't want to piggyback on what we were just, because it's very similar related. But I think the most rewarding part is, I wish I didn't say like a long there, but the most rewarding part absolutely is like connecting with people in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. It's being an artist of color and doing things that people haven't quite done yet or done the same way before. I think I'm very grateful to have that opportunity, that chance, that ability to connect artists, culture, relations in Milwaukee. Huge shout out to Imagine MKE for helping build me as an artist into that advocator, into that vessel. David Lee, Lindsay, Antoine Mack, Elizabeth, like everyone on the Imagine team. Thank you so much. But I think that's been the most rewarding part. I can say that I did connect with Giannis, like our most successful probably ever athlete in Milwaukee. Yes, me. I did that, and I also like co-opted with the Bucks on the parade, and I've also worked with a whole summer with Visit Milwaukee, and I've done things with MPS and everything you can think of Milwaukee. I bet you I've touched it. That's been the most rewarding part, is just being a part of this heartbeat in the city and making change and talking to people without being worried. I'm not worried about losing my job. You know what I mean? Like, I am my job. They can't fire a person or personality, so I get to have these honest conversations about what language looks like to artists or to younger people and why things don't always work. Like, maybe we can figure out how they work and how they connect better. And that's all of that is the most rewarding part of my job. The hardest part, the most taxing part, is the amount of sacrifice that I have to make consistently and not really having a way to communicate about that. I've overcome so many.
Use this mic. Use this mic in this time right now. Go.
I've overcome so many personal hurdles of what I want out of life and not being excited about how many likes I get on Instagram and Twitter. That shit used to drive me crazy. But like you said earlier, keeping my head down and one-upping myself consistently, man, you can't put a price on that versus 10,000 likes. Like 10,000 likes means nothing to me. Because I want to turn all that into dollars, you know what I mean? And I am. That means nothing to me. So even if I am getting less than 100 likes on a post, that means nothing to me.
No, because you never know. I've always said, you never know. On Milwaukee found me on a YouTube video that had like 54 views. So you never know if your next opportunity is on your first like, your first follow, or your millionth like, or your millionth follow, or somewhere in between.
People are watching, man.
They are.
It's crazy.
I would rather have 100 people who actually give a shit about my art and my videos and the stories I'm telling than a million people who don't fucking give a shit, Because I posted a picture of my legs dangling over a building like everyone else because I was in Portland, Oregon, down by Cannon Beach, and I put on a yellow raincoat and waited for a fucking week for the fog to roll in so I could take one photo of me like jump, like the same shit everyone else is doing, chasing fucking clickbait,
Believe me, I do. But and there are artists out in Milwaukee, photographers out in Milwaukee that are just absolutely crushing it. Just absolutely crushing it. And I love them. I draw so much inspiration from them. I think Nate V, shout out to Nate V with his drone. Holy shit, is he talented? And is he kind? And does he have the personality we need in our culture right now to talk about infrastructure and connectivity and bringing things together and talking about the opportunities that new buildings bring to our city, as opposed to being like, oh, we get another skyscraper in Milwaukee. Nate's like, you know what that does for us?
Yeah.
You know, so like having
brings in jobs. People from outside the city, gives them an opportunity and access to,
and it's already
jobs.
going up. Like, get over it.
Exactly, right?
So he has like a unique perspective, and I try to draw from those perspectives a lot. And I think it's hard for me sometimes. It's hard for me to not be in my own way, for lack of a better term. I'm getting much better. I'm battling. My ego only fights with itself now, which is awesome. I love that my ego hasn't started to bleed into my conversations with other artists or other people or other companies. And not that I don't stand up for myself, or not that I haven't raised the price, so to speak, or anything like that, but I can still be humble and charge a lot type shit. You know,
you're not an egocentric prick that that just pontificates all the time. And
totally. So that's been a learning process, and it's been good. I am really addicted to one-upping myself, so much so that I've been keeping a notepad. People on my Instagram secret story have seen this shit with like the things I did each month.
Is that what they call it?
That's a fake Insta.
Yeah. Oh,
but but it's like a notepad. It's like January, blah 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 blah, February, blah blah blah, and some of the months are like way fucking bigger than others, which is okay. But it's like good for my ego to see that ebb and flow of like what I'm doing. It's like journaling in a way, so I don't forget the shit that I've done this year at least. And that's been good for to tame my ego, or to keep it in check and balance. And that's another really, really, really hard thing to keep in check. Like, you win a handful of awards, you work with the Bucks, and it's like, what the fuck is supposed to happen to my ego? I
mean, it's easy to think highly of yourself when you pop off, especially big like that, and it's something that should be celebrated, and you should enjoy. But I think there's a lot of people that like win one fucking award or something like that, and all of a sudden they think like they're the hottest shit,
I know.
and then you never hear from them again.
You gotta follow up. You gotta keep going. You gotta
Right.
keep going. And I think momentum is key in everything.
God, I love that you said that. I've always said that momentum is everything. When you have that momentum and it feels like every day you're just sort of inching forward. I always hated when I would go like a couple days without posting a video or a photo, because it feels like you're starting from scratch, and you feel like, oh God, if I don't post today, everyone's going to forget about me in 24 hours. And, so like that momentum was always so important, at least for me. But boy, it can be a obsessive pain in the ass sometimes.
I've recently gotten over that too. Now I'm like, let them forget.
I still don't think I've gotten over that. I don't even give a shit about like my personal brand or any of that stuff. I'm like, I don't even care, and yet I still care, and it drives me crazy.
I'm like, let them forget, because the next thing I drop is gonna be hot.
Exactly. For many races and sexes and ethnicities, the American dream, there's barriers in place that don't exist for someone that looks like me. I'm a white man. Like there's just, and I'm going to give one example to the listeners, because they probably might not understand what I'm talking about. But I've done a lot of photo shoots at the airport in downtown Milwaukee. It's just a really cool like vibe if like I want to do like a traveling shoot or something like that or whatever. And I meander around there with my models and my cameras, and I look suspect as fuck. But no one ever bats a lash at me because I'm like a white dude. Well, then I
would never do that.
I had a friend who, yeah, right, exactly. I had a friend, he's black, he's a photographer, good looking, great looking guy, and he's like, hey man, like, what's it like shooting at the airport? And I felt bad thinking, but I was like, fuck man, like, I want to say go for it, but like, God, are they gonna like bust you or something? Because that's just how a lot of places are in this fucking country.
That thought has never even like crossed my fucking head.
Yeah, right. Boy, I wonder if I should go. And so this begs my question. How do we create equal access an opportunity to the American dream, because being able to, let's say someone hires you and they want you to do a travel shoot for whatever it is, a fucking backpack or something like that, or a pair of shoes, and you're like, cool, that'd be sweet to shoot this at Intermodal or shoot this at the airport. And you can't do that, but someone like me can, just based off the way that we look.
Sure.
How do we, boy, this is another long question. How do we make sure that those barriers are as low as possible and everyone has the same opportunity and access to create those opportunities and not have to turn a job down because they can't shoot at the airport because they're a fucking little bit darker than me, or so, you know?
Sure, yeah.
It's bullshit, but how do we, in your opinion, how do we rectify that?
Yeah, I was just having conversations about how in music in Milwaukee we do mixed bills. And for anyone who doesn't know what a mixed bill is the artists you have on a show lineup. Like your lineup, your show lineup is your bill. We don't have a lot of mixed bills, and what I mean by that, it's not like pop punk or like rock and hip hop and like jazz or whatever, like, or EDM or you know. There's not mixed bills in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
We're one of the most diverse cities in America, which we can continue to see as like a plight of our community. I kind of think it's cool a lot of times. If we're that diverse, like, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, and I know that diversity word is also attached to segregation. Like, we're the most
there's
segregated.
some caveats.
Yeah, so I understand that, but that doesn't mean our music scene has to be
exactly
as segregated as our city
or
borders
art scene.
are.
Or our food scene.
Like, none of that has to be as segregated as our lines are. Mm-hmm. So if we start having more mixed bills, which places like Cactus Club do, love you, Kelsey, please keep doing it, and thank you. The same can go for everything else in our community. I'm really grateful to be working with a company like Visit Milwaukee, because I just offer a unique perspective.
Yeah.
And their motto is "Where unique unites."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It does.
And I think that's part of the change that's coming. And that's why I run at 200, 300% all the time, because I want to see that type of change too. There's no singular answer to it. There's no easy answer to it. There just has to be a way to recognize these flaws that we're experiencing that have, you know, stemmed from the early 1900s or 1800s, and continue to rectify them by offering opportunity, offering the diverse communication that happens in our city, like engaging with it, continuing to support it. There's no easy answer. There are a million ways to solve this problem. Better funding, you know, better school education systems in different parts of MPS. Maybe don't split up MPS. Maybe make sure our...
Right. So how about we start with that one, you know?
Make sure our lead pipes are working. How come these skyscrapers can go up so fast, but our lead pipes still aren't replaced? Like, what is...
Fucking sure. That's a whole other podcast.
You know what I mean? Like, there are ways to access this.
Yeah.
And I know how to access it through arts and culture, so I'm going to continue to do that.
I think that's the biggest one. That's the one that I've noticed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Good.
That's the one that I've noticed the most when I first started in the city with the vlog and photography. The scene was very small. There was just not a lot of people doing anything substantial, and just the art scene and creative scene in general was just kind of stagnant. And seeing now just the diversity and the thirst and hunger from so many people from every corner of the city, it's been awesome to see. And I have seen some real change and real progressive. And you're totally right. Like, I think that the creative and the art scene, I think that's a great start, because that's young people. You know, those are people that are going to be the CEOs of companies, and they're going to be aldermen and alderwomen and running for office and be able to make change. And I think that's huge in you know, creating opportunity for everybody.
We got to make sure they don't leave.
Yeah, exactly. We can't. I mean, we're so fortunate that we're not, and not a knock on like Detroit, but I mean, we're not a city that's going in the wrong direction, whether it's, you know, businesses leaving the city, or people leaving the city because they don't want to live here, or the creative scene just being kind of... This city is on the rise, and it has been for a while now, and we're so fortunate that we live in a city that's growing physically. It's growing with the population. It's growing creatively. I mean, the DNC was going to come here. The RNC wants to come here. You know, Bucks finals. There's just so much opportunity here in places that I just feel like don't have that, you know?
And I totally agree. If anyone has met me on the street over the last year, you know I have said to you, there is more money in the city now than there ever has been.
Yes.
And you just got to look for the way to your way to tap it or to be a part of that. And not that it's about money or funding, but it helps, and that's what gets things moving. And
well, it helps you level up your gear. It helps you get a new easel. It helps you whatever it is that you're doing. And I always get pissed off too when people are always like, "Oh, I want to leave the city. I'm going to go to LA or New York or Chicago," and it's just like all you're going to find there is more competition. You know. Like there's this city is just ripe for whether you want to be a ventriloquist or a fucking painter or a musician or a photographer. There's so much opportunity here. You go to LA or New York, you know how many people are trying to do that shit out there?
You know what's my flex when I go out to LA and New York? It's like, no, I don't even live here. I'm just working here right now.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
But I just stole your opportunity.
Sorry.
But you live here. That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that. Second to last question. So do you think, after our conversation, do you think people should believe in the American dream?
Oof,
do you think,
I hope so.
That's a thing people should chase and believe in?
I think
whether it's having a family and a white picket fence and having a couple dogs in the middle of nowhere, or being president of the United States and everything in between. Like, is the American dream something that you think is generally tangible to anybody that has the sort of work ethos and mantra that someone like you has?
I really do. I think
Sorry I have such long questions.
No, you're good. I love it. I love this. It's been a while since I've been able to have this type of discourse, and so honestly and freely. I do think the American dream it's got to be different for everybody, and I respect that. But if you're going through your life and you don't feel like you have that freedom of choice, because I know everyone has like driven to work or like got on the bus to work, walked to work, and you're like, I could just turn around right now.
I know that feeling.
Like I don't have to do this. Like I'm going to. I get that. Yeah. I get that I have responsibilities, or I have a kid at home or a pet at home, or I have debts that I have to pay off. Like I get that. But I could just turn around and go home or go anywhere. If you have that lingering feeling in you, you are literally living the American dream. You have the freedom of choice.
A lot of places don't have that.
You can do anything.
Right.
You can literally do it. You can quit that job. You don't have to. I'm not telling you to, but you can. You can buy that first paintbrush. You can learn that new skill in your free time, or you can do anything. It's not going to be easy. Nothing is. Nothing that's worth having is easy. And that's so cliche. I know I sound like a dad or a grandpa saying that, but like, it's nothing that's worth having will ever come easy. And if it is easy, you're going to get over that shit real fast.
Right. All right. Final question. In another life, if you weren't doing what you're doing now,
music.
But you already did that.
Music, yeah. Not well.
Okay.
Music for sure.
That's me. I have this tattoo, the play symbol, to always remind me to play music, which didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, I feel
so music is what you do.
Music is definitely like or like make a video game or something, I guess. I love video games. I just got
Red Dead Redemption 3.
Final Fantasy 7 tattoo.
Oh,
big love.
We just our last episode, or 2 episodes ago, it was what the fuck was the name of it? Good Game. What's your KD? And it was all about video games.
Dude,
yeah.
If you ever do it again, let me know.
I'm a huge gamer.
That's awesome. Me too, man. But yeah, it would probably be somewhere between like music and video gaming. Maybe even like, I think like if I were to go like way back to like the real child inside, skateboarding.
Ooh,
definitely.
I stopped skateboarding. It was one of our apartments, and we were lining up boards and trying to like see how like far we could ollie.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I made like 5 or 6, and on the last one, I took a huge digger in my chin and fucked my whole chin and arm up. Never was able to ollie ever again after that, and then I gave up skateboarding.
Oh my god! I've ollied 4 high, which is like
skateboarding's hard.
It's hard.
And as you get older,
you're like, dude, this could put me out for 6 months.
Right?
I know.
Or the rest of my life.
So definitely like somewhere between music, skateboarding, and video games, which are like all things I do in my free time still. Not well. I play video games super well, but I don't skate or play guitar very well these days. We were playing shows before the pandemic, but it just the pandemic. So
Samer, dude, thank you so much for hopping on this episode. This was so fucking dope. I'm so glad we finally get you on here. Hopefully we can have you back on someday.
Thank you for having
me.
Stay
cool out there. It's like 100 degrees out.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Thank God though. This summer's been garbage.
Top off the Jeep. I can't wait.
Right.